And good evening, Dubai, good evening, UAE, good evening, Qatar, good evening, Saudi Arabia. We have the next session of our series of cloud monitoring todays. And today we will talk about the Azure Resource Activities monitoring with alert and scripting. Again, I would remind you that there is additional QR code that you can use to look for additional materials. You always can ask the questions if you are looking the webinar itself, but also if you are looking for the watching the recorded video, so you're welcome to ask the questions on the comments, etc. My name is Igor Shestitka. I'm Microsoft MVP. There is some additional roles that I have or had before. You can contact me by my email. Also, my positions during the last 20 years and also some background, and you can also find the recording of these sessions on my YouTube channel, where you can find not only these sessions but also some additional sessions like Microsoft Azure immersion workshops, demos, etc., plus technology and gadgets. And again, we have the Tuesday sessions every week for cloud monitoring journey, for cloud monitoring Tuesday, and today it's the third session. We will talk about the activities log. What is this? If you're looking before, you can look for the monitoring strategy and how to work with resource health, etc. What is this and how you can use API. After that, you can see the additional sessions. It will be up to beginning of October every week, every Tuesday, 5 p.m. On Dubai time, UAE time, sorry, Dubai. Anyway, you can find additional information here on my YouTube channel, whatever. And what is today's topic? For today's topic, we will talk about what is activity logs, why it's important. We will talk about the categories of the activity logs. We will talk and look for how it works with the managing persistent activity logs, storage, how to store to be persistent at least for the 2 years, etc. What is the scenario, what is the possible steps, and we will look for the scenarios how we can read the logs, how we can read with portal, with PowerShell, etc., and mostly, let's say, the thing that's like most shortest presentation for today, because activity logs, it's not like a big deal, let's say, or something like a rocket science inside the Azure. You just need to understand why it's important. And to understand why it's important, I would like to remind you how is full picture looks like. And you can see that we are looking on the different level, different scenarios to understand how the Azure works. We already discussed the Azure service health level, what it means and how to work with Azure Health, which sub-services, sub-information you can get. It's from the previous discussion, how you can use the resource health. And on the same resource health level, you can find also the activity logs that provide us additional information what's going on. On this picture, you can find two different types of activity logs. It's activity log for the different subsystem like advisor, like policy, etc. Plus, it's on subscription level, but also on the Azure tenant level, Azure Active Directory tenant level, you can find the central activity log for the Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, how it works, what's happened on this Azure Active Directory. And today we will review exactly these points, how to work with this, why it's important, etc. And back to the Azure platform log, there is again three main topics. Resource logs, we already discussed it last presentation. Second one, it's exactly activity logs that provide us not about the health and what's going on with resources, but what's going on with activities, with operation for each resources, or operations with each subsystem, like I mentioned before, Azure Activity Log. It's separated to the different part because it's on the tenant level. Activity Logs works on the subscription level, right? So this is the two main points to understand, and even more important part maybe to understand, it's categories of the activity logs and why it's important. Here you can see all main categories of activity logs. First of all, it will be really important for you to see on it, it's administrative health or activities. It means that exactly what you are doing or system is doing inside the Azure subscription. You always will see what's happened. But in Resource Manager, if you are not using the Resource Manager, but most of the people are using it, I mean the classic virtual machine or any other classic services, you will not see what's going on, because in reality administrative log, it means the log of each operations or on the API, like what's happened, which command, like a post, delete, update, etc., happens in API. It's all about administrative logs. So when we send the command, we see this to the Azure, whatever, directly or by API or over portal, over Azure, whatever. It's exactly administrative log. Second part of the logs that we already discussed maybe in previous, it's a service log, what's going on with a service health, like downtime, etc. We discussed this on the previous, but it's also, you can find this information in activity log too. You don't need to take API. Resource health, we already discussed it again on the previous part, but also you can see additional part of the logs. It's autoscale, it's a recommendation, autoscale from any solution that use autoscale inside, like it could be, for example, application service or SQL service, whatever. It's all about the autoscale. For the recommendation, it's all about advisor. If advisor sends some recommendation to you, the same recommendation will be recorded inside the activity log, so you can analyze really easy over this stuff. Security is the same. Whatever happens with Azure Security Center, for now it's Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Whatever happens inside the Security Center, you will see inside the activity log, so you can analyze it, you can parse it, you can do any automation, any additional monitoring on top of it. Plus, again, the policy. If policy does some activities, like applying the policy, check the auditing, right? So check the statuses, etc., of the objects, all this stuff will be recorded inside the policy like a part of activity. So we're applying the policy, we see what is the result. You don't need to check the object, it's enough to check the policy itself to understand is it applied or not applied as required. So is it clear? Because quite faster. You can just, if you have any questions, you can just raise the hands on the reaction, and just I will stop and give you time to ask the question. Anyway, you can put your question on the chat anytime. I am looking on it too. And the main important part of activity logs that you have to understand, it's that activity logs has only 90 days lifetime. After 90 days, activity logs will be deleted from the system. Or you need to use your API to analyze directly, or if you need to do some RCA, security analysis, etc., you need to be sure that you persistently store your activity logs, whatever, right? Persistently, or how you are planning to do. And there is the three main parts that you can use directly in Azure. It's Log Analytics Workspace, where you can send the data from the activity log to look on it, what's going on, etc. Yes, this slide will be available for downloads, definitely. Okay, so you can send to the log analytics. Why to the log analytics? Because it will be possible to look on each log like a KUSTO query directly in log analytics. So Microsoft Azure will transform your activity logs to the log analytics database. You will see these databases, you will be able to look on it, you will be able to execute KUSTO query and analyze like this one. Second scenario, just for the, let's say, backup or long-term storage, it is Azure Storage Account. What is the difference between Azure Storage Account and Log Analytics? In Azure Storage Account, it will be just blob. Inside this blob will be just a JSON files with the predefined formats, and it will be a mix of these formats, because each event inside the activity logs, like administrative or security or policy, has its different configuration, has its different schema, etc. So it will be just like a, let's say, bunch of different schemas, blocks of JSON represented the record by record inside the blob. If you like to use it after that by any different parser, you can use it. But directly, frankly saying, you can't use this storage account to look on it, etc. So like it will be just for, again, for the backup, for analysis, etc. With some scripts you can upload from the storage back to the log analytics. And why I am saying that storage account is for persistent storage exactly better than log analytics, because for log analytics you have to understand that you have just 2 years lifetime for the log analytics. After 2 years, log analytics logs database will be cleaned up. Data older than the 2 years old. Oh, by default, by the way, log analytics is also 90 days. Oh, 30 days, sorry. 30 days after that you need to expand and configure, and you are paying additional money to store more data. For Azure storage account, yes, same, but the price of the storage account a lot of cheaper than activity logs. Third scenario that could be used on some different ways is Event Hub. What is the difference between Event Hub and previous to? Event Hub is just event. You just send the data to the some storage that is like just a queue of the events. Block, block, block. One event, second event. What's happened in activity log? It's sent just like event. You have the subscriber of this event hubs, takes this data from event hub. That's all. So you clean up your queue and continue to work on the another side. So it's like a integration scenario, plus Microsoft has its own Azure Monitor partner integration with non-Microsoft programs, etc., that you can register and use it after that to analyze the activity logs. Back to best practice, right? So if we are talking about the best practice to understand that's like what we have to choose, typically for me, by the way, you don't need to choose like just a one. You can use one or two or three or both of these scenarios, so like all of these scenarios together. And typically, for most of the customers, it's more important to use the activity log for RCA and not more than 1 year typically. So customers have special separated log analytics workspace to do exactly this storage and analyze these activities, etc. From another hand, to have permanent storage, we can use the storage account, and again, there's a lot of scripts that take the data from the storage account as is and push it to the log analytics workspace. Yeah, so performance will be quite low. I mean, you will not be able to do this like in megabytes per second, but maybe megabyte of log per second will be fine. Just remember that it's not happens really often. Some events like security, etc. A lot of tools that's using the security or administrative event to connect like a CM, because it's just events like the same like another CM systems, etc. You are using the event hub and you are using the Azure Monitor for the partners. Questions before we will continue with the demo? Okay, if there's no questions, let's continue with the demo. And again, the first, most common scenario where we can find it, activity log, you can find on any level starting from the subscription or management group. And you can see what's going on here. For example, incident, it's not activated by me. It happens with something before. And you can see that activity, Azure Monitor, log analytics, activity inside, etc., has some issue. You can look on it, you can analyze it by this exactly JSON file. So this is one record inside. More interesting, for example, to look on the some administrative events, etc. We can take, for example, 2 weeks. Just a second, because incident maybe it's not a good time to have this demo, but hope it will work. It's funny to do this demo during the incident of log analytics. Okay, so what you can see here, it's a lot of events that happen for 2 days. You can add some filters, you can do some additional manipulation, etc., like event category, etc. But we are not looking for understanding exactly like how to work with this interface, but more how to understand what exactly the logs. For example, you see we have event named deallocate virtual machines. We have this JSON file. It's more interesting that this JSON file represent like 5 different events. And why it is 5 different events? We can see by change history what exactly going on this event and what changed inside the Azure configuration, etc. Look, for example, the first step it's happened when we say that instance, auth name, etc. was automatically changed on the new value. The status was changed on the new value, etc. And if we look on this event as it's represented, we can see the code deallocating to the deallocated, status deallocating from deallocated. Previous step, I say previous step, updating to succeeded. Previous step, updating to succeeded, etc. As I mentioned before, administrative logs, it's exactly the operations, what's going on with each object. Even if you are doing some manipulation by Azure, you can see that initiator of this event was not object, but not person, but some service inside the Azure. But in reality, you can see what's going on and what exactly the activity log is, right? If we look on the previous, for example, create or update virtual machines, we can look on the JSON file to understand, but more even important to look on the change history. And look, first update was user initiated from here. User initiated step, first one. System was changed type from succeed, previous state, so previous operations, run, stop, whatever it was succeeded, to updating. So system changed state of the virtual machine. Second one, time of the creating of this virtual machine or change of this virtual machine, it's changed here, you can see. After that, we are changing exactly on the configuration of the machine, just a record between DS1 version 2 to D2AS version 4. And after that, the last changed from updating state for succeed state. That machine was updated successfully and can continue to work with this. You see, like any steps, whatever. And by using this exactly the way to analyze, it's the best way to better understand what's going on. For for example, the register to provider or update activity log events, etc. We can look what's going on. No changes, just the one operation, what's happened here, and just create the new alert that we look for. This is one of the way to analyze our solution, right? What's going on with activities, etc. Another way to analyze the system and understand what's going on, especially in case of what's going on, especially in case of logs. Exactly, right? It's doing it from your well-known tools. What is your well-known tools, right, to analyze, etc.? At first, let's say last month. Take the logs for last month. Come on. Come on. And we can analyze it with KSV. Why not? Excel, it's a good point to analyze, to work if you know the system. Second one, you can look to the insights. You can see activity logs, you can see the by status, etc., etc. But again, it's quite strange because I have the event for last any of it here. KSV is downloaded. Any one subscription correct. This is correct. Time correct. General nothing. Operational failure. Let's look on the administrative. I told you it is one idea to work with the demo, but this tool should provide you the quite like a reporting. Another tool, again, it is logs as is, because it different logs from the different solution, it will have the different format to analyze, to understand, etc. But anyway, you can work with it. The third part that we need to understand, that we can configure the logs to send the data to the events that we are looking for. At first, we can take, for example, not on the storage level, but where is my virtual machines? Let's take the virtual machines, take activity logs, etc. Just to better understand, right? So we can take not only on the enterprise level, but we can take on this machine level, like resource, etc. and export, where we can export and what we can export. it is diagnostic options that allow you to send administrative, security, alerts, recommendation, etc., all possible events, all possible categories, to log analytics workspace, to storage, to stream to the hub, and send to any subscription where we have the partners, destination, etc. How to integrate this? There is additional documentation how you can, for example, configure the data to send to the Elastic, or how you can configure the data to send to the data docs, or Dynatrace for Azure, whatever. So this is the well-known systems allows you to send the data. Typically, again, from the client perspective, it's Dynatrace, Elastic, or Datadog. More or less, it's Kafka and LogIZ and Jinx. Frankly saying, never saw. It's because in preview. It's why I not see for the customers itself. But anyway, this way you can do the configuration on the subscription level, or you can do this configuration on the machine level to analyze, to set up where you have to send the data. On which subscription you see, or you can go to the resource group, machine, and activity log. As you can see, whatever you will take, it's not mean that you will set up send the data for virtual machines. No, you're just configuring anyway diagnostic setting for the all set of the data. Okay, just a second. Let's back to the, and let's send this data to the two, whatever we have, to the two environments, activity, and we have log analytics. Second one to the storage account. We have some, let's take this one, storage account, to send the data there. And the name, yeah, let's do this way. Done. So what it means? It means that right now, if I look to this storage, and look to the containers, it's not. Okay, just a second. Give me a second. It's still not, but what we can do to do this some event, we can just reconfigure any machine, like I did before, for example, from V5 to do this, V4 to V5, and resize it. What will happen on the activity log level? On the activity log level, we will have, oops, why it's activity log level, subscription, wait. 2 minutes ago, you can see that I changed just diagnostic. It's also the event. General recommendation, it's another event. It came from where? From advisor. We can look on it, what's going on, and where also our event about the size of machines. It's resized, so we have to see it also here. Nope. 2 minutes ago. Let's wait. Same time. Resizing. Same time. What we can do, we can go here. We can go to the containers. Where's my containers? It's not yet. It's not yet. Okay. Let's look on the log analytics. Log analytics. Not for this machine. I don't need machine. I want to have subscription at all. And here, virtual machines, no custom logs. No, not yet. Okay. Let's wait a little bit. Azure Resources Log Management. It is really weird. So, back to the scenario, we have to see on the log management, on the Azure Resources, all required tables that could be generated by the Azure activity logs for our data. Sorry, oops. Here is, you can see a lot of events, and for example, on the operations, this is the changes, etc. Is it our? Looks like yes. On the events, nothing yet. This is one of the way to work with the system. Another way to have this on top, it's a PowerShell. What it means by PowerShell? By PowerShell, oops, sorry, it means that you can configure all of this information, like how you have to take the data, etc., and store the data by PowerShell. So to use this code, it's just really easy part of this code, like this one. You can see if you need to configure subscription log activities, it should be like this. Configure your log activities. You just can go with this code and it executed based on the subscription. So you need subscription ID, you need already existing workspace. This is like this. ID, resource group where your workspace placed at subscription ID, take the log analytics workspace, your workspace, name, subscription, execute like a parameters, and execute the data. That's all. Inside section has log analytics. Did not get what do you mean. No, we need, I think it's from here, like, no, we need another options. We need to see like activity logs, etc., the tables that will allow you to monitor operations, activity logs. It's still not here. To be sure, no, nothing. You see, it's still not send the data to the system. Anyway, for example, like a typical situation, for example, when we are looking for something, will be looks like this one. For example, we are looking activity log, we are looking the policy, what's going on, we extend the data, we extend the information, we extend the policy. We will talk about the language itself for the next session, but it still sends no data at all to the activity logs. I don't know why, frankly saying, because typically in 5 minutes you can see all changes, all operations, etc., here, but still not here. Okay. Let's do the next. And policy. So to configure the log analytics, to send the data from the activity log to anywhere, we can use the log policy to set up it. So like how it works, again, policy. We can use the definition and say that this one, it will be diagnostic settings activity. Wait, they changed something. Diagnostic setting for resource logs. Diagnostic settings for application. For the key, diagnostic settings for the data, diagnostic setting for recovery, diagnostic setting sent for the blob service. No. Diagnostic setting for event hub to enable. No. Nope. Diagnostic settings to hub. It should be for table, no. For search, no. Enable diagnostic logs, no. Activity log should be exist. Azure Monitor should collect activity log from all regions. It's not. By the way, it's really important if you use the different regions for one subscription. Configure log to stream. This one. Configure activity logs to stream to specific log analytics workspace. So if you want to send the data somewhere, you take this, you make the assignment, you select the scope where you will apply it, for example, for all management groups. You go in here and take the parameters, what exactly you will use, which primary workspace will be there. Let's take this subscription and this log analytics. Unbelievable. Typically it works like in milliseconds. But whatever. So do not forget that this operation is operation to change some parameters on the selected object. We are talking right now about subscription. So it means that we have to configure this subscription with some credentials, and it will create the system assigned credentials and work with this. We will talk later about this way to configure, about this way how to work with this, but anyway, it's one of the steps how you can configure the solution. And the last step, it's how you can work with automation itself. So like how to read this data, not exactly like on the screen, but by the code. It's most easiest part, because to read this data, you can use a few steps. First of all, you can take the data directly. You can take the data directly from... Why? What are you doing today? You can take the data directly from the get az activity t, just one command, and as you can see the data from there, resources, types, etc. Too much. Resources, types, etc., etc. Of course, you can set this to the some data. You can read this data one by one because it's enumerable array. You can see the claims, you can see the information, you can see who is calling, what happens, etc., to do the analysis like this. Second question, it's exactly the KUSTO language that you can see here, but it's still not. Let's do like this. Not working for now. It's exactly my example for you for the KUSTO language, but again, it's not clear why it does not work, because we already configured this option and it should work. This is our diagnostic settings. This is our storage. This is our portal. Wait. Log analytics, storage account, settings. Now it works. So we already configured, should be here. To understand what's going on inside the log analytics, inside all of this stuff, we can take out all of this. We can use the information on the site. So like just to parse the parameters, etc. We can use the options like, let's say, Azure Log Analytics. Log Analytics. Activity logs event. This is a schema of each of this operation. You see. So this is administrative category. If you are planning to use it with the fields, etc., you can use the category, etc., inside your custom query, like this one. We can see this here, right? So like this is administrative, this is authorization, claim levels, etc. All of this stuff also described here. Correlation ID, category, resource ID, what's happened. And also we can use this for the KUSTO language too. This is the second part. And third part to understand, it's API. What is the difference between, for example, log analytics and resource health or whatever in terms of API? No difference. On the previous presentation, on the previous session, I demonstrate how to work with the resource health using this code. To work after that with activity log, what we need to have just a different part of this call URL, and after that maybe parse some parameters, some properties, etc., different than we have here. Like we have here claims, etc. On previous we have properties, etc. But anyway, look, if we go with the Azure Log Activity Log API and take the activity log APIs and look for the activity logs list, and here will be just another provider that will give us some additional information about our data. We don't need filter, We don't need optional parameters. This is how to build filter and how to build optional parameters. But what we can do, if we look on this code is here. Which one we had? Resource health, LA events. Okay. Let's see. LA health check events PS1 to LA health check activity log PS1. And let's do code. Here is our code. Exactly what you can see on the list or on the slide. And what I can do here, I just change this one. It will go to the Microsoft Insight, event management, etc. because it's how activity log works. And I will get the same activities to work with it. And the response of this file will be this one. Apps. Bad request. Filter. No, why? It should be filter. Without filter. Okay. Do you want filter? Fine. Filter will be next. Like this one, for example. Oops. What's it? Filter. Okay. Red then. Okay. Because this filter should be like this. Will it work? No? I'm not sure. Let's check. I am trying because this filter will be accepted by the PowerShell, like the operator, not. Let's do like this. And check the call URL. And how the call URL looks like? It looks wrong. And this one looks wrong too. Invalid type message. Resource events type could not be found. Events type. Did I miss something? No. Nothing. There is a question about the. We can stop this because you see it's required to have some debug, but it should work. I know that it should work because I'm using some parts of this one. So we can stop, but anyway, just for your better understanding, that here, when you're doing the same stuff, you just need to change the call URL and work with this another call URL and work with the different schema to get the data. Anyway, the results should be the same. You see, so events type, management, fully values, fully ready to go with. So we don't need to do anything. This is the last one. Thank you. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to. It will be published about the slides. It will be published on the all links and slides on the, I don't know which one you are using, Azure UAE group or Azure Qatar group or Saudi Azure community. On all of these pages, the recording, link to the recording, and the link to the presentation will be published soon. Maybe in 1 or 2 weeks, we will publish already provided the presentation and also the next one. And the contacts, you're welcome. And if there is no another questions, see you next Tuesday, 5 p.m. UAE time. By the way, what is Qatar time? I don't know. It's the same one. And see you later.